many people are very visual, and the sexually explicit details I find and have read are not necessarily helpful.
After an affair, is it necessary to reveal everything? Is it better to go through all the gory details, or are some things really better left unsaid and maybe sweep those under the carpet a little bit?
I love telling our couples that a healthy marriage is an IQ test. There are books that give certain guidelines, but basically you figure out. You figure it out if you're smart. And that that the real issue is letting your partner know how much you want to commit to a transformed relationship and your role of being better attuned to them and what is it they need. What is it they need every single day? What is it that will make them feel safer, more passionate, more excited about being in the relationship?
So once you've gone through an affair, really the answer is let's move forward. Let's figure out what was broken in the first place, and not necessarily even say, hey, here's, you were a victim and I was a perpetrator, but instead really to say, how do we go forward and do that with every day? I mean, every day intentionality. That's a lot.
Yeah, and but my role is to own that I have failed you. I haven't been functioning well enough, and what is it that you need going forward?
But I find that the hurt partner tends to kind of really want to talk about it a lot. You know, so what I say is to my couples, I say, listen, you don't want the affair to like overwhelm the relationship and those heavy topics to just take over. So it's best to maybe compartmentalize it and maybe like have a certain time of the day where you talk about it and you really hash it out, and then make the other times like a little more light and playful so that you can kind of get that reconnection back.
They're in crisis,
Right.
So at first they're going to want to talk about
Absolutely.
it 24/7.
Definitely.
It's the discovery stage. There's a lot of information they want to know, and then over time the containment to say, okay, it takes time to get there.
Right.
And then how to communicate consciously with one another. And as your question to reveal everything, many people are very visual, and the sexually explicit details I find and have read are not necessarily helpful because it just burns this image in their brain. And to say, were you sexual? Yes. But as far as the details
Anything
of that
more,
sexual experience,
let's not go there.
and I tell couples, ask yourself the question, is this question going to help me heal?
Right. Or
Is this really something I want to know? Am I prepared to hear the answer before you ask it?
The person who really wants to know all the details is least capable of handling it.
interesting.
And the more they get about the details, the worse. There's a kind of they are visual, but they're also emotionally really. I don't want to use a negative word, but emotionally incapable of handling that kind of information, and they already have a self-esteem. To ask the question would make them feel like, God, I really, wasn't good.
Even fuel the
I'm
fire
having
to
the
make
affair
them even
because
more hurt and
I'm
more
not
angry.
any good, and make them more angry.
And in the beginning,
the question is, so I want you to think about how will this help you? What will you do with the information? And how will that help you heal is really important. If you spend too much time processing an emotion, you don't go deeper, which is the myth of therapy. You agitate the neural pathways. So it feels like there's more there, but all you've done is just stir it up.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's very interesting.
So what you want to do is acknowledge the emotion. I really hate you and I want to kill you. And then you move up to the cortex. And the therapist has to help people move up by saying, how will this help you? Well, now I've got to think about the question. And a really smart therapist will move back and forth between the feelings and the thinking. and won't let people stay in their feelings very much.
Right.
I strongly recommend that couples not try to have serious conversations after they've been drinking.
Oh,
That's a good. Okay, tip number 1.
No cortex to regulate. Regulate, right.
And they enter into the therapy process in crisis.
Yeah.
Couples have to be taught how to function out of new brain.
Right.
It takes practice. And they may want to hear everything in the beginning, and it's the therapist's job to help them navigate, is the word I use, their affair recovery, to know how to ask, what to ask, when to ask, and as a therapist, containing them and keeping them intentional in how they're moving in that recovery.
So not only is it possible to recover from an affair, but you can emerge stronger and have a marriage that actually is positively transformed. So that's the great news. But in the meantime, don't go and get into all the dirty details of everything that happened. That can actually make it more difficult to recover. So really focus on growing the relationship, get to closure on the affair, move forward with a lot of intentionality, and be proactive in your love and moving forward together.